I stood outside the locked bathroom door, my hand trembling so badly I could barely hold my phone. Inside, I could hear muffled voices and the sound of water splashing. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. This was my sister's house. This was supposed to be the happiest day. I had just locked 2 people inside that bathroom, 3 people who had just destroyed everything. Let me back up. This morning started like any other exciting day. I woke up at 8, already buzzing with energy because today was Amber's 34th birthday. I'd been planning this surprise party for 4 whole weeks. Every detail was perfect. I had streamers, balloons, her favorite chocolate cake with vanilla frosting, and I'd even hired a photographer to capture her face when she walked in and saw everyone. Amber is my older sister. She's always been the responsible one, the person everyone looks up to. She's a dental hygienist, which means she's good at making people feel comfortable even when they're scared. She's been married to Trevor for 4 years, and honestly, we all thought they were perfect together. He seemed so attentive, always making her laugh, always supportive of her career dreams. I have a key to their house because I water their plants when they go on vacation. The plan was simple. Get there at 10:30 in the morning while Amber was at work, set everything up, and have all the guests arrive by 2:40. Amber wouldn't be home until 4, so we'd have plenty of time. I arrived at 10:45 with my arms full of supplies, bags of decorations, the cake from the bakery, party favors I'd spent hours putting together. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Paige's car parked there. That confused me. Paige was supposed to arrive at 3 to help with final touches, not this early. Paige has been Amber's best friend since college. They met during orientation week and became inseparable. She was there when our dad died 4 years ago, sitting with us in the hospital. For 18 hours straight, she held Amber while she cried at the funeral. She's family, or at least I thought she was. I figured maybe Paige had the same idea I did. Come early to help set up and make everything perfect. That would be just like her, always thinking ahead. I used my key to quietly open the front door. I didn't want to startle Paige if she was focused on decorating or something. The house was weirdly silent. No music playing, no sounds of movement, just quiet. "Paige!" I called out, setting my bags down in the living room. No answer. I walked through to the kitchen, calling her name again. Still nothing. That's when I saw Trevor's car keys sitting on the kitchen counter next to his wallet. My stomach dropped like I'd swallowed a stone. Trevor had told Amber he had back-to-back property showings all morning. He's a real estate agent, always busy on weekends. So why were his keys here? Why was his wallet here? I tried to think of innocent reasons. Maybe he forgot them and came back. Maybe his brother picked him up. Maybe there was a perfectly normal explanation. Then I heard it. Water running upstairs. Not just a sink, but the distinct sound of a bathtub filling. And voices. Soft laughter. 2 people talking quietly. My legs felt like they were made of concrete as I started climbing the stairs. Each step felt impossible. My brain was screaming at me that I was jumping to conclusions, that I was being paranoid, that there had to be a reasonable explanation for all of this. The bathroom door was slightly open. Steam was escaping into the hallway. I could smell Lavender Amber's fancy bath oil that she saves for special occasions. I walked toward that door like I was walking toward the edge of a cliff. My hands were shaking. My mouth was completely dry. I kept telling myself I was wrong, that I was imagining things, that what I thought was happening couldn't possibly be happening. I pushed the door open just 1 more inch, just enough to see inside. And there they were, Trevor and Paige, together, in the bathtub. His arm was draped around her shoulders. Her head was resting against his chest like she belonged there. Wine. Glasses sat on the edge of the tub, one with lipstick marks on the rim. Candles were lit all around them, the expensive kind Amber kept in the cabinet for romantic nights. They were laughing about something, completely relaxed. Completely comfortable, like this was normal for them. I couldn't breathe. I literally couldn't make my lungs work. This was my sister's husband. This was my sister's best friend. In my sister's house. In my sister's bathtub. Using my sister's bath oil and drinking what was probably my sister's wine. The betrayal was so huge, so complete, that my brain couldn't even process it. It was like trying to look directly at the sun. Too bright, too painful, impossible to comprehend. My hand moved without me thinking about it. I slowly pulled the door almost closed, moving as quietly as possible. Then I reached for the lock on the outside of the bathroom door. It's this old-fashioned thing from when the house was built in, the 1945s. Amber always joked about it, said it was quirky and weird. Who puts a lock on the outside of a bathroom door? The lock clicked into place with a soft sound that Trevor and Paige didn't notice over their conversation, and the running water. I backed away from the door, my phone already in my shaking hand. I moved downstairs as quickly and quietly as I could. My mind was spinning. What do I do? What do I do? I need to tell Amber. I need to tell Garrett that's Paige's husband. He's a firefighter who works long shifts and has no idea his wife is here right now, in a bathtub with another man. They need to see this. They need to know the truth. I can't. Just tell them over the phone they might not believe me. Trevor and Paige might lie their way out of it, come up with some excuse. No. Amber and Garrett need to see this with their own eyes, so there's no doubt, no room for lies. I reached the living room and stood there, surrounded by birthday decorations. The Happy Birthday Amber banner looked like a cruel joke now. Balloons bobbed cheerfully in the corner. Everything was so colorful and happy, and upstairs my sister's entire life was falling apart. My thumb hovered over Amber's contact on my phone. Then I heard Trevor's voice from upstairs, suddenly louder, more urgent. Paige, did you lock this? The door handle jiggled once, twice, then harder, more frantic. I froze at the bottom of the stairs, my heart hammering. From upstairs? I heard Paige respond. Confusion clear in her voice. No, I didn't touch it. Try again. The door handle rattled more violently now. Trevor's voice rose, panic creeping in. It's locked from the outside. How is it locked from the outside? I stared at my phone, at Amber's smiling face in her contact photo. I had 2 calls to make, 2 calls that would destroy my sister's birthday, her marriage, her best friendship, 2 calls that would blow up everything. But she deserved to know. They both deserved to know. I took a deep breath and pressed Amber's number. The phone started ringing. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. My finger hovered over the red button, ready to hang up. Maybe I could handle this differently. Maybe there was a better way. Then Amber answered, her voice bright and happy. Hey, Nina. What's up? I'm just eating lunch at my desk. This tuna sandwich is actually pretty good for once. She sounded so normal, so completely unaware that her entire world was about to shatter into a million pieces. I could hear her chewing, could picture her sitting in the break room at the dental office, probably scrolling through her phone while she ate. Amber. My voice came out all wrong, shaky and high-pitched. You need to come home right now. The chewing stopped. What? Why? Is everything okay? Are you hurt? I'm not hurt. The house isn't on fire. But you need to come home immediately. Please. Nina, you're scaring me. What's going on? Just tell me. How could I tell her? What words could possibly prepare someone for this? I opened my mouth, closed it. Tried again. I can't explain over the phone. Just please trust me and come home right now. Please, Amber. There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing, could almost hear her brain working, trying to figure out what emergency could possibly require her to leave work in the middle of the day. Okay. I'm leaving right now. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Nina, please tell me you're okay. I'm okay. Just hurry. The call ended. I stared at my phone. My hands still shaking. 1 call down, 1 to go. I realized I didn't have Garrett's number saved in my phone. Paige and Garrett had only been married for 3 years, and while I'd met him at family gatherings, we weren't close enough to exchange numbers. I quickly pulled up Paige's social media profile, feeling sick as I scrolled past photos of her and Amber together, smiling and hugging, looking like the best friends they were supposed to be. I found the fire station where Garrett worked, listed on his profile, and called the main number. A woman answered on the second ring. Station 18. How can I help you? I need to speak with Garrett Chen, please. It's urgent. One moment. The hold music was cheerful and completely inappropriate for what I was about to do. Upstairs, I could still hear Trevor and Paige banging on the bathroom door, their voices getting more frantic. They knew something was wrong now. They just didn't know how wrong. This is Garrett. His voice was professional, concerned. He probably thought there'd been an accident, that Paige was hurt. Garrett, this is Nina, Amber's sister. You need to come to Amber's house right now. Nina. What's wrong? Is Paige okay? I closed my eyes. This was the moment. Once I said these words, I couldn't take them back. Paige is here. She's with Trevor, and you need to see this yourself. Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then his voice came back, lower now. Careful. What do you mean she's with Trevor? I mean exactly what you think I mean. They're locked in the bathroom together. In the bathtub. And they don't know I found them. Another silence. I could hear him breathing. Could imagine him processing this information, trying to make it make sense. I'll be there in 10 minutes. The line went dead. I dropped my phone on the couch and wrapped my arms around myself. What had I just done? I'd just blown up 2 marriages, 2 families, my sister's entire life. Yes, Trevor and Paige were the ones who did this, but I was the one who made sure everyone would know. I was the one who locked that door. I was the one making these calls. I checked my watch. Amber would be here in about 14 minutes, Garrett and 10. They'd arrive almost at the same time. They'd walk into this house and everything would change forever. The banging from upstairs was getting louder now. I heard something heavy slam against the door. Trevor must be trying to break it down. But that door was solid wood, original too, the house from the 1940s. It wasn't going to budge. Hello? Trevor's voice carried down the stairs. Is someone down there? We're stuck in the bathroom. Please help. I didn't answer. I just stood there in the living room, surrounded by birthday decorations that now felt like decorations for a funeral. The chocolate cake sat on the kitchen counter, perfect and untouched. The banner hung cheerfully across the wall. Everything was ready for a party that would never happen. Please, Paige's voice joined in. The door is locked. We can't get out. 8 minutes now. Amber would be pulling out of the dental office parking lot, driving too fast because she was worried about me. Garrett would be in his truck, probably still in his firefighter uniform, his mind racing with questions and terrible possibilities. I walked to the window and watched the street. My heart was pounding so hard I felt dizzy. Part of me wanted to run, to leave before they got here, to not have to see their faces when they realized the truth. But I couldn't abandon Amber. Not now. Not when she was about to need me more than she'd ever needed anyone. A car turned onto the street. Amber's sedan. She was early. She must have driven even faster than I thought. I watched her park and jump out of the car, still wearing her dental scrubs. Her face was tight with worry as she rushed toward the house. I opened the door before she could use her key. Our eyes met, and I saw the fear in her face. What's wrong? What happened? Before I could answer, Garrett's truck pulled up behind Amber's car. He climbed out, tall and broad in his navy uniform, his expression grim. He'd known. The second I said those words on the phone, He'd known what this meant. He walked straight up to us without saying hello or explaining why he was there. Amber looked between us, completely confused. "Garrett, what are you doing here?" "Nina, what's going on?" From upstairs, as if the universe had perfect timing, Trevor's voice rang out again. "Hello? Is someone down there? We're stuck in the bathroom. Please help." Amber's face went pale. She stared up at the ceiling, then at me. "Trevor, he's supposed to be showing properties. Why is he—" Then Paige's voice cut through, desperate and scared. "Please, the door is locked. We can't get out." Amber's mouth fell open. She looked at me, then at Garrett, then back toward the stairs. I watched understanding dawn on her face like a sunrise, slow and terrible. Her hand came up to cover her mouth. "No," she whispered. "No, there's an explanation. Maybe they're—" She couldn't finish the sentence. There was no innocent explanation, and everyone standing in that doorway knew it. Garrett was already moving toward the stairs, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping in his cheek. Amber followed like she was sleepwalking, like her body was moving, but her mind couldn't catch up with what was happening. I trailed behind them, my stomach churning. We climbed the stairs in awful silence, except for the continued pounding and shouting from the locked bathroom. Garrett reached the door first. He stood there for a moment, his hand on the old lock, his chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. He was trying not to explode, trying to hold himself together. "Garrett!" Paige's voice came through. The door. Confused now. "Is that you?" "Oh, thank God, someone's here!" "The door locked somehow. We can't get it open from inside. Garrett's voice was quiet, dangerously calm. "Who's we, Paige?" Complete silence from behind the door. Amber made a small sound, something between a gasp and a sob. She covered her mouth with both hands, her whole body starting to shake. "Paige." Garrett said her name like it was a statement, not a question, like he already knew but needed her to confirm it. "Who is in there with you?" The silence from behind that door felt thick enough to choke on. I watched Amber's face go from pale to completely white, like all the blood had drained out of her body. She was shaking now, her arms wrapped around herself. Then Trevor's voice came through, trying to sound casual but failing miserably. "Hey, man, it's me. Listen, this is really weird, but we can explain. You're in a bathtub." Garrett cut him off, his voice still terrifyingly calm. "With my wife. In his wife's house." He gestured toward Amber without looking at her. "What exactly are you going to explain?" I heard frantic whispering from inside the bathroom. Trevor and Paige conferring, trying to come up with a story that would make this okay. The sound of water splashing as they scrambled out of the tub, the rustle of towels being grabbed. Amber slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, her knees pulled up to her chest. She was staring at the bathroom door like it was a monster, like if she looked away it might attack her. Tears were streaming down her face, but she wasn't making any sound. Just silent, devastating tears. I sat down next to her and wrapped my arm around her shoulders. She was trembling so violently I was afraid she might pass out. I'd seen her have panic attacks before, years ago when our dad died, but never this bad. Her breathing was coming in short, sharp gasps. "Breathe," I whispered close to her ear. "In and out. Slow. I've got you." She didn't seem to hear me. Her eyes were fixed on that door, waiting for it to open, waiting to see with her own eyes what she already knew in her heart. "Amber, honey, please listen." Trevor started through the door, but Amber made a sound like a wounded animal and pressed her hands over her ears, shaking her head violently. Garrett looked down at us, at Amber crumbling on the floor, at me trying to hold her together. Something shifted in his expression. The anger was still there, burning hot, but now there was sadness too. His wife had betrayed him, yes. But he was watching another woman, someone he'd known for years through family gatherings and holidays, completely fall apart. and Amber had it worse. At least he'd had a few minutes of warning from my phone call. Amber had walked into this completely blind. He turned back to the door, and when he spoke again, his voice was flat, empty. How long? Garrett, please, if you'll just let us. Paige started. How? Long. A pause. Then Paige's voice, small and scared. 8 months. Those two. Words hung in the air like a death sentence. 8 months. I did the math automatically in my head. That was around Amber and Trevor's 4th wedding anniversary. Right around the time Paige was having marriage problems and spending so much time at this house, crying to Amber about how distant Garrett had become with all his double shifts at the station. Amber made a choking sound next to me. 8 months. Her husband and her best friend. For 8 months. Every holiday dinner, every game night, every time Paige slept over in the guest room, every time Trevor said he was showing a property, every time Paige complained about her marriage while sitting at Amber's kitchen table, drinking Amber's coffee, eating Amber's food. 8 months of lies stacked on top of lies. Open the door, Garrett said. I stood up and unlocked it, my hands steadier than I expected. The door swung open. Trevor and Paige stood there, wrapped in towels, their hair dripping wet, their faces flushed. The bathroom still smelled like lavender and wine. I could see the 2 glasses on the edge of the tub, red lipstick staining one rim. Candles burned down to almost nothing. Their clothes were in a pile in the corner, her bra on top of his shirt. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. The moment stretched out, terrible and frozen. Amber was still on the floor in the hallway, but she'd finally looked up. She was staring at them with an expression I'd never seen on her face before. Complete devastation mixed with something darker. Betrayal so deep it had transformed into something cold and hard. Trevor tried first, taking a step toward her. Amber, I can explain. Explain what? Amber's voice didn't sound like her. It was cold and dead and empty. She slowly got to her feet, using the wall for support. Explain how you're in a bathtub with Paige on my birthday. Explain how you've been sleeping with my best friend for 8 months. Which part needs explaining, Trevor? Trevor actually flinched. It just happened. We didn't mean for... in my house. Amber's voice was getting louder now, heat creeping into the coldness. In my bathtub, on my birthday. You couldn't even wait until after my birthday? Paige was crying now, black mascara running down her face in streaks. She looked smaller somehow, wrapped in that towel, shivering even though the bathroom was still steamy and warm. Amber, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. Don't. Garrett's voice stopped her like a wall. Don't you dare tell her you didn't want to hurt her. You've been lying to her face for 8 months. You've been sleeping in her guest room, eating at her table, crying on her shoulder about our marriage while you were the one destroying it. Don't tell her you didn't want to hurt her. Paige turned to him, fresh tears spilling over. Garrett, I do love you. I just... Get out. Garrett's voice was shaking now, the controls starting to crack. Get dressed and get out of this house. Trevor took another step toward Amber, his hand reaching out. Amber, please, can we talk about this? Alone? Amber laughed. It was the most horrible sound I'd ever heard, broken and sharp, and wrong. Alone? You want to talk alone? Like you were alone with Paige? In my bathtub? Drinking my wine? She moved so fast none of us could stop her. She pushed past Garrett, past me, into the bathroom. She grabbed one of the wine glasses and hurled it against the wall. It exploded into 1,000 pieces, then the other glass. Then she grabbed the wine bottle from the floor and threw that too. Red wine splattered across the white tiles like blood, mixing with broken glass. Amber! Trevor tried to grab her arm, but Garrett shoved him back hard against the doorframe. "Don't touch her! Don't you ever touch her again!" I pulled Amber out of the bathroom before she could destroy anything else. She was sobbing now, deep, wrenching sobs that shook her whole body. I guided her downstairs, away from Trevor and Paige, away from that bathroom that now looked like a crime scene. In the living room, surrounded by birthday decorations, Amber collapsed on the couch. The happy birthday banner mocked us from the wall. Balloons bobbed cheerfully in the corner. The chocolate cake with vanilla frosting sat on the kitchen counter, her favorite. Upstairs, I could hear raised voices, Garrett and Trevor arguing, Paige crying, doors slamming. Amber looked at me with eyes that were completely shattered. Her makeup was ruined, mascara and tears mixing on her cheeks. Her dental scrubs were wrinkled from sitting on the floor. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her, like the betrayal had physically shrunk her. "My best friend," she whispered, her voice raw. "Since college. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. She held my hand at Dad's funeral. She's the one I told everything to." She stopped, pressing her fist against her mouth, like she was trying to hold something back. When she spoke again, her voice was barely audible. "She's the godmother to the baby we were going to have." My heart stopped. "What?" Amber reached into her purse with shaking hands and pulled something out. A small white stick, 2 pink lines. "I was going to tell everyone today. At the party. I'm 6 weeks pregnant." I stared at the pregnancy test in Amber's trembling hand. The 2 pink lines seemed to glow in the afternoon light. 7 weeks pregnant, my sister was going to have a baby, Trevor's baby, and Trevor had been cheating on her for 8 months. The room tilted. I sat down hard on the floor because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. Before I could say anything, Garrett came down the stairs with Paige. She was dressed now, her wet hair leaving dark spots on her shirt. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she wouldn't look at anyone. Garrett had his hand on her elbow. Not gently. He was escorting her out, like a security guard removing someone from a building. Trevor followed behind them, also dressed, his face pale. He was trying to catch Amber's eye, but she was staring at the pregnancy test in her lap like it was written, in a language she couldn't read. "Amber," Trevor started. "Get out." Amber's voice was barely a whisper, but everyone heard it. "Please just give me 5 minutes to explain." "Get out." This time it was a scream, raw and primal. Amber stood up, the pregnancy test clutched in her fist. "Get out of my house. Get out, get out, get out." She was advancing on him now, and Trevor backed toward the door. I'd never seen my sister like this. Amber who rescued spiders instead of killing them. Amber who cried during sad commercials. Amber who always, always saw the best in people. "Both of you, get out. I never want to see either of you again. You're dead to me. You're both dead to me." Paige was sobbing openly now, her whole body shaking. "Amber, please, our friendship." "We don't have a friendship!" Amber shrieked. "You don't betray someone and call it friendship. You don't sleep with their husband and call yourself their best friend. You don't—" Her voice broke. "You don't do this to someone you love." Garrett opened the front door. "Come on, Paige. Now." He pulled her outside. Trevor lingered in the doorway, looking back at Amber. For just a second, something crossed his face. Guilt, maybe. Or regret. But then his expression hardened into something else. "You know what?" His voice was cold now, defensive. "Maybe this is for the best. You've been so focused on having a baby, you barely even looked at me anymore. Every conversation was about ovulation schedules and doctor appointments and baby names. When was the last time you asked me how I was doing? When was the last time you cared about anything except getting pregnant?" The words hit like a slap. I stepped forward, furious. "Don't you dare blame her for your cheating." But Amber held up her hand, stopping me. When she spoke, her voice was eerily calm. "You're right, Trevor. I was focused on having a baby. Our baby, the family we talked about, the future we planned together. I was so focused on that. I didn't notice you were already making a family with someone else. She opened her fist, revealing the pregnancy test. But here's the thing. I'm pregnant. 6 weeks. So now you get to decide, do you want to be a father to this child, or do you want to keep sleeping with my ex-best friend? Trevor's face went completely white. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. He stared at the pregnancy test, at Amber's face, at me standing protectively beside my sister. I need time to think. Wrong answer. Amber walked to the door and slammed it in his face. Then she turned the lock, slid the chain, and stood there with her forehead pressed against the wood, her shoulders shaking. I heard Trevor's car start outside, then Garrett's truck. The sounds faded down the street until there was only silence. The silence was worse than the screaming. Amber turned around slowly. Tears were streaming down her face, but her expression was oddly blank. She walked to the couch like a robot and sat down. I need to cancel the party, she said quietly. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about that. I bought him a watch for our anniversary next month. Engraved. I've been saving. For 6 months, she laughed, but it came out broken. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid. They're liars. That's not your fault. Amber looked down at the pregnancy test again. What am I going to do, Nina? I'm having a baby with a man who's been cheating on me, with a woman who was supposed to be the godmother. How do I explain that to a child someday? I sat beside her and took her hand. It was ice cold. We'll figure it out. One step at a time. I can't stay here. Amber looked around the house like she was seeing it for the first time. I can't sleep in that bed. I can't use that bathroom. I can't look at anything without wondering if she started hyperventilating again. Okay, you'll stay with me. We'll pack a bag, and you'll stay with me for as long as you need. We went upstairs together. I couldn't bring myself to look at the bathroom as we passed it. Wine and broken. Glass still covered the floor. In the bedroom, Amber moved mechanically, pulling clothes from drawers, gathering toiletries from the other bathroom down the hall. She paused at Trevor's nightstand. He leaves his phone unlocked when he charges it at night. I could have looked any time, but I trusted him. I trusted both of them. She opened the drawer and pulled out Trevor's tablet. I watched her face as she swiped it open and started scrolling through messages. Each screen seemed to drain more life from her eyes. They said they loved each other. Her voice was hollow. He told her she was the one, that he married the wrong person. She kept scrolling, her hand shaking. They were planning to tell us next month. They were going to leave us and move to Portland together. I gently took the tablet from her hands. Stop. You don't need to see anymore. But Amber wasn't listening. She was staring at a text thread, her face absolutely white. They were here, yesterday, while I was at work, in our bed. She ran to the bathroom and threw up. I held her hair back, rubbing her back, feeling completely helpless. When she was done, she sat on the bathroom floor, shaking. I had lunch with her yesterday, Amber said. She helped me pick out decorations for the party. She knew I was planning a party to celebrate with everyone I love. And she'd been in my bed with my husband that morning. I helped her up and got her into the car with a hastily packed bag. As we drove away, Amber turned to look back at the house, one last time. I loved that house, she said softly. We picked it out together. We painted the extra bedroom yellow because we wanted to wait to find out the baby's gender. We planted roses in the backyard. Her voice broke. I can never go back there, can I? I didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. That house, that life, that version of Amber who trusted people, she was gone. Everything was gone. At my apartment, Amber sat on the couch and stared at nothing. I made tea that she didn't drink, ordered food that she didn't eat. The afternoon turned to evening, and she just sat there, the pregnancy test on the coffee table in front of her. Finally, as the sun set, she spoke. "I need to call my doctor. Make sure the baby is okay after all this stress. I'll go with you, to all your appointments. You're not doing this alone." Amber looked at me, and for the first time since the bathroom door opened, something flickered in her eyes. Not happiness, not hope, but maybe the tiniest spark of determination. "I'm keeping the baby," she said firmly. "Whatever Trevor decides, I'm keeping my baby." "Of course you are. And I'm getting a divorce. I'm taking everything, the house, the savings, whatever I can get. Good. And Paige." Amber's voice hardened. "Paige gets nothing from me. No explanation, no closure, no chance to apologize and make herself feel better. She's dead to me." I squeezed her hand. "Whatever you need." Amber picked up her phone. Her hands were steadier now. "I need to tell Mom and everyone else. I'm not protecting them. I'm not keeping their secret." She started making calls. I listened as she told the story over and over. To our mother, to our aunt, to cousins and friends. Each time her voice got a little stronger. Each time, the shock and support from the other end seemed to build her back up just a little bit. By midnight, it was done. Everyone knew. The phone finally stopped ringing. Amber lay down on my couch, exhausted, her hand rested on her still flat stomach. "Thank you," she whispered in the darkness, "for finding them. For calling me and Garrett. I know it must have been horrible for you too." I lay down on the floor beside the couch. "I wish I hadn't found them. I wish I could have protected you from this. But you did protect me. They were planning to leave us next month. You saved me from wasting any more time on him. You saved me from being blindsided when I was further along in my pregnancy." In the darkness, I heard her crying softly. Not the harsh, broken sobs from earlier. These were quieter. The sound of grief for a life that never really existed. "It's going to be okay," I said, even though I wasn't sure it was true. "Eventually," Amber responded. "Eventually, it will be okay." 3 weeks had passed since that terrible birthday. Amber was still staying with me, though she'd started looking at apartments. Every morning I woke up to find her already awake, sitting at my kitchen table with her laptop and a mug of ginger tea. The morning sickness had been rough, but she handled it with the same quiet determination she'd shown for everything lately. This morning was no different. I walked into the kitchen to find her scrolling through apartment listings, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing one of my oversized sweatshirts. "I found an apartment," she said without looking up. 2 bedrooms. It's smaller than the house, but the second bedroom would be perfect for a nursery. I can move in next month. I poured myself coffee and sat down across from her. "You don't have to rush. You can stay here as long as you need. I know. But I need my own space. I need to start building my new life." She turned the laptop so I could see. The apartment had big windows and hardwood floors. It looked bright and clean, and nothing like the house she'd shared with Trevor. It's close to a good elementary school, too. I was checking the ratings. I smiled. This was new Amber making plans, looking forward instead of drowning in the past. It's perfect. I saw my doctor yesterday. Her hand moved unconsciously to her stomach. "Everything looks good. The baby is healthy." She said the stress doesn't seem to have affected anything. That's wonderful news. I asked her about telling the baby about Trevor eventually. She said I have time to figure that out. That lots of kids grow up with complicated family situations and turn out fine. Amber's voice was steady. "I'm going to tell my child the truth when they're old enough. Not the ugly details, but the truth. That their father made choices that broke our family apart." Over the past 3 weeks, I'd watched my sister transform. The first few days, she barely functioned. She cried constantly, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. But then something shifted. She started seeing a therapist twice a week. She joined an online support group for pregnant women going through divorce. She began making plans for the future. "Has Trevor tried to contact you?" I asked. "His lawyer wants to discuss custody arrangements. Trevor says he wants to be part of the baby's life." Amber's expression was unreadable. "My lawyer says we can work out visitation, but I'm getting primary custody and he's paying child support. What about the house?" "I'm selling it. We'll split the money, but I'm done with that place." She took a sip of tea. "I drove by there yesterday. Someone had mowed the lawn, probably Trevor's brother. The roses we planted are blooming." I waited, wondering if this would make her cry. But Amber just looked thoughtful. "I used to think those roses meant something, that they represented our love growing together. But they're just roses. They don't mean anything except what I decide they mean. And I decide they're just flowers that happen to be in a yard where I used to live." My eyes stung with tears, but I blinked them back. This was who Amber was becoming. Someone who could look at the past without being destroyed by it. "What about Paige?" I asked carefully. Amber's jaw tightened slightly. "I blocked her number, her email, all her social media. She tried to come to my work last week, but security asked her to leave. My coworkers know what happened. I was honest with them." "Has she tried contacting me?" "Probably." "Has she?" I nodded. "Emails mostly. I haven't opened them." "Good. Don't." Amber's voice was firm. She had 8 months to tell the truth. She doesn't get to clear her conscience now. That's not my problem anymore. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Amber said, "Garrett stopped by my work yesterday." I sat up straighter. "Really? What did he say?" "He wanted to know how I was doing, how the baby was. He apologized for what Paige did, which was strange because it wasn't his fault." Amber smiled sadly. "He filed for divorce too. He said he could forgive a lot of things, but not 8 months of lies. Not what they did." "How is he handling everything?" "Better than me, probably. He doesn't have a baby to think about. He can just close that chapter and move on." Amber paused. "He told me something interesting, though. Apparently Trevor and Paige are already having problems. They moved in together in Portland like they planned, but it's not going well. Turns out relationships built on betrayal don't have strong foundations." I felt a bitter satisfaction at that news. Good. I told Garrett I didn't care. And the weird thing is, I really don't. A month ago, I would have been devastated or secretly happy or something. Now they're just strangers. People I used to know in another life. I studied my sister's face. There were still shadows under her eyes, and she'd lost weight despite the pregnancy. But there was something else too, a strength that hadn't been there before. The old Amber was soft, trusting, always seeing the best in people. This new Amber was harder, more cautious. Maybe that wasn't entirely bad. "Mom called yesterday," Amber said. "She wants to know if I'm having a baby shower." "Are you?" "Eventually. But it's going to be different, smaller, just family and real friends, people who actually care about me." Amber looked directly at me. "You'll be the godmother if you want." Tears spilled over now. I couldn't stop them. "Of course I want. I'm honored. I couldn't have gotten through this without you. You saved me that day, Nina. If you hadn't come early, if you hadn't found them." Amber shook her head. "I would have thrown that party. I would have announced my pregnancy to everyone, including them. They would have kept lying for who knows how long. I just did what anyone would do." "No. Most people would have handled it differently. They would have confronted Trevor and Paige privately, or told me when we were alone. You made sure Garrett and I saw the truth with our own eyes. So they couldn't lie. So we couldn't doubt what we saw." Amber reached across the table and took my hand. That took courage. We sat there, hands clasped, two sisters who'd been through hell together. Outside, the city was waking up. Traffic sounds drifted through the window. Life going on, indifferent to personal tragedies. Amber's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled. My real estate agent, someone wants to see the apartment today. She says if I like it, I should apply fast because it won't last. Do you like it? I love it. It feels like a fresh start. Amber stood up, energized. Come with me to see it. I want your opinion on the layout. I grabbed my coat as we headed out. I noticed the calendar on my wall 3 weeks ago was supposed to be Amber's birthday party 3 weeks ago. Everything fell apart. But 3 weeks later, Amber was looking at apartments, planning for her baby, building a new life from the wreckage of the old one. We drove across town in comfortable silence. The apartment building was nice, older but well-maintained, with a small garden out front. We took the stairs to the 3rd floor, and the agent was waiting for us. The apartment was even better in person. Light poured through those big windows. The hardwood floors gleamed. The 2nd bedroom was painted a soft green. I can put the crib there, Amber said, pointing to a corner by the window. And a rocking chair here. Some shelves for books along that wall. I could see it too, the nursery that would be. The life that was coming. The future that didn't include Trevor or Paige, but would be full and good anyway. It's perfect, I said. Amber filled out the application right there, her handwriting steady and clear. As we walked back to the car, she seemed lighter somehow. For the first time in 3 weeks, she looked genuinely hopeful. You know what's funny? Amber said as we drove back. I was so scared of being alone, of raising a baby by myself. That's partly why I didn't want to admit my marriage wasn't perfect. I was afraid of losing the family I'd built. And now I realize I'm not alone. I have you. I have Mom and Aunt Carol. I have real friends from work. I have a support system made of people who actually love me. She smiled. And I'm going to have a baby who will be the most loved kid in the world. So yeah, my family looks different than I planned. But it's still a family. We stopped at a red light. A couple walked by, pushing a stroller, laughing about something. 6 months ago, Amber would have looked at them with envy, wishing that was her and Trevor. Now she just watched them pass with a neutral expression. Do you think you'll ever trust anyone again? I asked quietly. Romantically, I mean. Amber considered this carefully. Not for a long time. Maybe not ever the way I trusted before. But that's okay. The way I trusted before was too easy. I ignored warning signs because I wanted to believe the best in everyone. The new me is smarter, more careful. That sounds lonely. Maybe. But right now, with a baby coming, safe is more important than romantic. This kid is going to grow up knowing what healthy love looks like, even if that means not seeing their mom in a relationship for a while. We pulled up to my apartment. As we walked inside, Amber's phone rang. She glanced at it, and her face darkened. Unknown number. That's the 10th one today. I think it's Paige using different phones. Don't answer it. I'm not. Amber blocked the number and set her phone down. She doesn't get closure. She doesn't get to apologize and feel better about herself. She gets nothing from me. That evening, we ordered takeout and watched a comedy. Nothing romantic or heavy. Halfway through, Amber fell asleep on the couch, exhausted. I covered her with a blanket and sat on the floor beside her. 4 weeks ago, Amber's world ended. Her marriage, her friendship, her trust in people, her belief that love was enough. But looking at her now, I saw something unexpected. Yes, she was wounded. Yes, she'd changed. But she wasn't broken. She was rebuilding, piece by piece, day by day. My phone buzzed with a text from our mom. How's Amber? Tell her we're all coming to help her move next month. Nobody argues. Family shows up. I smiled and sent back a heart. Then I looked at my sleeping sister, her hand resting protectively on her small baby bump, and thought about that morning 3 weeks ago, standing outside that locked bathroom door, trembling, making those 2 phone calls that destroyed everything, watching my sister's heartbreak in real time. If I could go back, would I do it differently? No, because the pain was coming anyway. Trevor and Paige were always going to hurt them, but finding out the way they did, shocking and terrible as it was, gave Amber and Garrett the truth they needed. Undeniable, irrefutable. And now, 3 weeks later, Amber was moving into a new apartment, planning for her baby, building a life based on truth instead of lies. That was worth everything. Nina watched her sister sleep and knew that somehow, despite everything, they were going to be okay. Not today, not next week, but eventually. Life goes on, even after betrayal, even after heartbreak, and sometimes, against all odds, it gets better.